はい、皆さん、はじめまして、東京大学大学院進路域創生科学科の亀山と申します。本日は大変ご多忙な中、このセミナーにおいでいただきまして、誠にありがとうございます。本セミナーは、科学技術振興機構 JST 低炭素社会実現のための社会シナリオ研究事業の下で行われているセミナーシリーズでございまして、毎回特に、気候変動やエネルギーの観点からの、シナリオの、最前線の、お話を、講師の方にしていただく、そういうセミナーでございます。で、本日はオーストリア・ウィーンにある国際応用システム分析研究所 EASA と呼ばれる研究機関にいらっしゃいますジュイーさんにおいでいただきまして、NGFS ネットワーク for Greening the Financial System の年次リリースにおけるワークストリームについて、お話をしていただきます。お話はだいたい30分から40分ぐらいになると思いまして、その後、ご質問がありましたら、チャットボックスに書いていただくということになります。For English speakers, I'm sorry that I've started talking in Japanese. Welcome to this scenario seminar series. We have been holding a series of online seminars to discuss climate and energy scenarios. And today we are happy to invite Dr. Ju Yi to present her latest updates on NGFS annual report series. So, Professor Ju Yi, could you start your presentation?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the introduction, and let me share my screen. It works, right?
Yes.
Good, good. Yeah, this is Ju, and thanks again. It's quite an honor to be invited to give a short online seminar as the series of the social scenarios. So the topic I am sharing today is the climate scenarios for the financial sector, and more specifically this NGFS workstream. This NGFS may, I guess, to quite a lot of audience, it still sounds like 4 random letters. Actually, I myself also just joined this NGFS network from this year, so I'm very happy to let's walk through it together. So I guess in the first half of this seminar, we will review what this NGFS platform is and what are the NGFS scenarios, the scenario metrics of it, and also what is the output of those NGFS scenarios, and what types of models or research teams are involved. So I hope this will make sense to audience that are just having some general interest in, say, mitigation scenarios or transition pathways. And the second half of it, I will be introducing the validation or review process of the NGFS workstream, and also the users who are actually using those scenario results. And I hope these will be useful for the development of this shakai scenario, this LCS social scenario. Please, I know it's quite a webinar style, but for the second half of it, it's really about showing some ulabanashi of the scenario development. So for the second half of it, just feel free, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat or just interrupt. I'm very happy to give an immediate response to it. So first, what is NGFS platform? It is launched in 2017, And it is a network. So this N for the network for central banks and supervisors for greening the financial system, so GFS. So it is launched by 8 central banks, and now, as of today, there are 138 central banks and supervisors and 21 observers. And of course, those institutions, they participate on a voluntary basis. It is now led by ECB, European Central Bank, for some phases. And before I'm joining them, I've heard that for a while it is led by the Bank of England, and when it is launched, it is the Bank of France, I think. Let me check the chat. Okay. So it is supposed to the main role of this platform is, of course, to contribute to the development of environmental and climate risk management. At the end, it is about the risk management, because you can see that all the members here are central banks and supervisors. They're not the investment banks or commercial banks. And the second half of the role is, of course, to mobilize finance to support the transition towards a sustainable economy. And this is if we go to the go to the main portal of this platform, of course, we will see a very long list of its members. So, of course, we can see Bank of Japan here, and also on the homepage of the Bank of Japan, we can see that Bank of Japan also somehow update the annual release of NGFS climate scenarios. The role of NGFS, so it provides a set of scenario results, right? And you are now quite clear that the reviewers or the users of those scenarios, they are the central banks. So they are looking at what they are looking from the NGFS scenarios are, of course, the stress testing and the risk management. So what they are looking for is the potential impacts of climate changes on the overall economy, for example, the damage on the GDPs. These are something, because we directly talk to the central banks, this is something I can say that I really see that this NGFS scenarios works came into impacts that I saw central banks are really using those results when they try to do some stress testing. And I have also learned that I'm not sure directly or indirectly, TCFD and also ISSB, they also use the NGFS results. So those institutions that are responsible for the disclosure of climate-related information, they set the standards for those, right? So these institutions also use the results of NGFS, but I'm not sure if any of the audience, if there are any TCFD people or ISSB people, please feel free to share your what did you really see in the work, and I'm very happy to talk with you or to ask some questions like what are you actually looking at from the NGFS results. I wish to have more conversation maybe after this seminar. And then let's take a look at the scenarios. So this is the main part, right? And talking when mentioning this financial scenarios, probably people may assume that is it a scenario that for example assumes the central bank A may give more credits to investment that is greener, or the central bank B does not credit so much. Maybe this sounds like a financial or a scenario that put more emphasis on financial informations, but actually with this set of scenario metrics, the NGFS projects together with 3 model teams actually aim at providing a common reference framework. So this is how we try to do it as a common reference framework way. So we can see it is from here to here. Let me putting out those. Okay, this is not working. Anyways, so from the left to right, we have orderly and disorderly transition, which is suggesting climate policies. They are introduced. Are they introduced earlier, or are they introduced gradually, being more stringent? And from upside to the downside, this is how are the overall mitigation efforts, are they sufficient or not sufficient? And then these 7 scenarios are divided into 4 different types, and the policy scenarios we're looking at here, and of course this current, it's here, you see. Okay, yeah, it's here. The policy scenarios are the current policy scenarios, NDC scenarios, and for these 2, they are also very easy to quite easy, or quite in a quite standard form. So in this net zero 2050, it is suggesting a scenario, a future that is able to control the climate changes, the changes in temperature within 1.5 degree, and this is below 2 degree. And let's switch to the definition of these scenarios. And from here, and of course, we will pay more attention to the orderly transition part. We have 1.5 degree scenario, 2 degree scenario, and a scenario where lower energy service demand will be expected. And also from here, we have a more fragmented world. Here, 요단なんですけど, this is a 요단. This NGFS network or platform, as I introduced, all the members are the central banks, and they participate in a voluntary fashion. And of course, we also need fundings to support all the researcher works. And the funders are, for example, they there was some time they were discussing, will we need to pay less to the researchers if we cut down several scenarios? And let's take a guess which scenarios is actually under the discussion that, oh, we are trying to get rid of this scenario. This scenario is less important, and as stated by the NGFS consortium, and this scenario is least used by the users. Let's take a guess. And unfortunately, it's just the low demand scenario. This is quite interesting, because among our researchers, among our I would say energy policy researchers or climate policy researchers, this low demand is a very important issue, very important topic. But in a very interesting way, the bankers does not see things in this way. And for the maybe this one is more interested, this fragmented world scenario, it assumes a delayed and also divergent climate policy response. I think you are all aware of the latest election results in US. This will bring a lot of uncertainties, a lot of policy risks to of course to the financial sectors, where maybe some reduced focus can be expected in the disclosure of climate related information, or what probably this scenarios maybe in next phase will be used more by the users. Anyways, here is a set of common reference framework of all 7 NGFS scenarios. And I wish I can, and of course, we do not only this is running, the scenarios will be run in each phase, and we do annual release. And of course, in each phase, there will be specific focuses, but this will be too in details. If I have time, I can go back and introduce the protocol of these 7 scenarios. I guess modelers will be more interested. If we have time, we'll go back to it. But for now, let's go back to the outline. We have went through what is NGFS platform, and I have now have the idea of what these NGF scenarios are. And let's go to the output of it and the research teams of it first. So the output, of course, we do this annual release, and there are 3 different types of output. So first, it is a scenario explorer. This is very similar to how modelers provide their pathway results to the IPCC report. It is organized by IASA using this scenario explorer. And then there is another explorer or database, which is led by the NGFS. So this European central banks, they have their own portal showing some key indicators that bankers or financial sector users, they really care. And then this annual release, and also it will be a short summary, like the messages to the policymakers, or the messages to the central banks, an overview of it, and also a longer technical documentation. And I'm very proud to share the numbers that our annual release, this is our 5th phase by 2024, and in our phase 4, last phase, this open access to all external users. We have hit 13,000 views of people checking and using our data set. This is already a very large number as a scientific output. And then the key output are, I will divide them into 2. The first is physical risks, and the second one is transition risks. So I will explain a little bit what types of risks are covered by the physical risks. So the first part is the acute impact. So these are the impacts that directly from the disasters. I think there are 4 different types of disasters we are considering: flood, cyclones, heat waves, and droughts. So these like directly damage from them, and these events can increase this underwriting risks for insurers, and thus leading lower insurance coverage in some regions. And so these part of risks are considered. And then the chronic impacts. So these are more generally like the increased temperatures, and also the rising sea levels. All these changes, they may require a different level of investment to adapt to it. So these type of investment are also included. So these are the physical risks. And then the transition risks. So this part, also this figure is, I think this is the best figure that explains the transition channels, how the climate risks transitioned to the financial risks. So these risks, it basically cover all the possible changes that affect the profitability of business and wealth of households. So these will create financial risks for the lenders and the investors. So it's a quite broader scale, or the impacts on different sectors of the economy will be considered. And yes, this is probably a better figure. So we have transition pathways. We have these variables first. IAM modelers may be more familiar with them. These are like quite standard output of transition pathways. And then 2 physical risks, and then also 2 the financial or transition risks. and they have slightly different resolution in regions. And the key output, so there are some key indicators that at least ECB or the central banks think these are the key indicators, and they wish to share with the users. So I listed these key indicators here, like decarbonizing the electricity, decarbonizing the power generation sectors, electrifying buildings, industries, and transport. So these are the sectoral indicators. Fuel switching, CCS, CEF, and then improving the energy efficiency across the economy, and decarbonizing agricultural, forestry, and other land use. I have a screenshot here. This is how this is the key indicators. For each indicators, there will be one figure like this. You can find it on the NGFS portal organized by ECB. And also, I'm not sure, let me try to show the, let me try to feel, I may need to re-share. Yes, so this is another set of, it is just released last month. So this is this will be the short, this will be the short summary of it, and we can maybe we can go through some main results. The main results that suggesting orderly transition should be coming. It will be definitely better if it's coming earlier, and also compared to the last phase, based on the results of our previous phases, more investment are still required, like this, and a longer technical documentation of it. So let me go back to the. Let me go back this. So if you are interested, because the time is quite limited, I'm not able to go through all the messages or the findings of this phase. Okay, so these are the main outputs of NGFS, and now it goes to the teams, research teams. So here are the main research teams, and probably this one is more obvious. Which team will be responsible for what types of output? So for the physical risks, we have CA and PIC, and for the transition pathways, we have 3 IAMs, Remind, GCAM, and Message. And for the economic results of all these transitional financial risks, it is provided by the model NIGIM, including something in between. There is another GDP damage way. I will be introducing it later. Inflation and also changes in interest rate. So these are the teams, and this figure might be more straightforward. Transition pathways from IAM, and then feed it into GDP damage functions and doing downscaling, and then taking then the physical risk research teams. They look at the physical impacts, and then all feed into this NIGIM model to provide those financial risks results. I'm showing this, the teams, the structure here. Of course, this helps to clarify the analyze approach of things, but also more importantly, let's go back to it. Of course, it is also important to our LCS social scenario, because I'm well aware that in the social scenario, there will also be those interlinkages, the output of one team becoming the input of the other. So there will be, for example, I think in the social scenario, there will be the outputs from LCA teams to the IAMs. If I understand correctly, there will be such a link. So I'm showing the timeline here, which does not really matter. These dates are not matter. What matters is we need to do those validation checks. So when we have IAM results ready, we do one internal check and then feed into the NiGEM model. And we need to do these 2 rounds of checking. We need to do it twice. So what I'm trying to introduce here, which I believe it might be a little bit useful for the development of our LCS in a social scenario, is how this review process was conducted. So I see that. So first, it will be the internal validation. This is just the validation between 3 IAMs. So although the output of NGFS scenarios, you can see that it is basically serving the users are the central banks. So the variables they are looking at is quite different from energy economic integrated assessment models. So in the internal validation, still the primary, secondary, final energy, the emissions, the capacity additions, CCS, energy demand, GDP. So these are still the very important variables that IAM teams want to validate, want to at least do a decent internal validate. And when we are doing this vetting, of course, we look at the results, we compare the results by scenario, by region, by model, and also because NGFS is a quite long project, a quite long net platform, we also need to compare the results by phase. And then taking a look at the structure, sectoral structures, and taking a look at the historical data. And by historical, even, for example, the historical production of, say, steel. So steel is just the one sector, and even subsector of energy, of the end use of energies, or a subsector of emitter. But still, we check, we validate those historical numbers in a quite decent way. And my observation is the tendency that during this round of validation, the tendency is I saw IAM models, they check variables that are more sensitive to the parameters and or modeling principle. They do not really pay more attention to say the final deliverable variables. And also I listed other things to validate here. So this is the second round of validation. Central bank people are checking it. And then after 2 rounds of such validation, okay, good, this annual release, all the data are out, it is released. And then continuously, even after release, continuously, we are, this NGFS platform is calling for feedbacks. And yeah, we continuously get people asking questions. It's either directly from GitHub discussion, or they send us emails. And we need to take a look at those too. And at this, my impression is after release, all these external feedbacks, my impression is the downscaling results. It's not regional. It's, for example, when all the results are downscaled to country level, say the Bank of Korea or the Bank of Italy, they will be looking at the results saying that, oh, this is, can you give more explanation on which variables? So my impression is the downscaling results to a specific country, we receive more of those external feedbacks after the release of our after the annual release. And the last part is the user of scenario results. This is the thing I would like to share most with Kameyama sensei or other LCS social scenario colleagues. So usually of course, I also just joined this NGFS working group. So my understanding is also what we are doing, that the users are the policymakers. They're either climate policymakers or energy policymakers or just the more general policymakers. This is also the first type of mine that the users are more specific. They are the central banks, they are the supervisors, and also other users. And I believe for the social scenario, LCS social scenario, the users will be more general policymakers. It is not it is not the Milaiso of energy transition. It is the Milaiso of a future, of a carbon neutral future, right? So I was able to introduce a little bit of this part, but there are also other users in the financial sectors, right? The bankers, the asset owners, the asset managers, insurers. We were able to talk to these users in another project, which is not NGFX, but I cannot share a lot about it, but I can share part of it. Wrapping up, I am able to do what we worked through together. What NGFS is? It is a network for central banks and supervisors for greening the financial system, contributing to the development of risk management, climate risk management in the financial sectors. And the scenarios aim at a common reference framework, providing the output of both physical and transition risks by cooperating with different model teams. And the validation of NGFS scenario results, it opens to both internal modelers and external users. We collect feedbacks on scenario results under OpenSES tools from more general users across phases. And we also collect feedbacks on the scenario design or the evaluation of transition risks through interviews, surveys, and workshops with the financial stakeholders. So that's it. That's all the things I would like to introduce, and I'm happy to collect some questions from the floor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yu, for a very interesting presentation with the very latest information and sometimes including urabanashi. It was very interesting. Thank you so much. So we have about 20 minutes for questions and answering session. And for the audience, please feel free to insert your question by utilizing chat box, either in English and 日本語でも結構ですので、どんどん書いてください。それでは、もう一番最初から上から行こうと思うんですけど、what is the most difficult aspect of scenarios to communicate from the modeling community to central bankers and the financial community?
And I'm flattered to see there are a lot of questions. And for this question, fortunately, I'm very surprised. I've been in Japan for 8 years, and I have been working with the model intercomparison of the scenarios, the national scenarios of Japan. I'm quite familiar with this question. It is difficult, but what I'm surprised is European bankers, they speak IAM languages. I'm very surprised. So I'm sorry. This effort should be made by us, right? But they somehow understand IAMs and to a level, to a quite high level. So the difficult. It was not very difficult. But I also found that the focus, the variables or the data they want to see is a little bit different from modelers. This is the thing I saw. And the second question.
Yeah, second question. How does the NGFS address regional differences in climate risks exposure, and how adaptable are the scenarios to local contexts and regulatory frameworks?
Yeah, thanks. This is a very great question. It is the main, the key model is remind from PIG, but of course the intention of having multiple models is we were able to compare and to reduce the uncertainties when it comes to the results of different regions. And so there will be regional differences. Yes, for the key models, let's take the example of our model. It's 12 regions in all, so it's quite. You can see the resolution is not very high. For example, for the whole Europe, it's just the 2 regions, the East Europe and the West Europe. And also, unfortunately, Japan is bounded with Australia and become one region. And of course, this one using the level of this region is very difficult to be a representative of either Japan or Australia. That's a very good question. And then that's why we need another team to do the downscaling. So they do this downscaling. They downscaling the primary energy, secondary energy, or different variables to the national level. And then during this downscaling process, I can share the approach of downscaling later. If I found it, I will put it in the chat. So there's a quite a scientific and system way to do this downscaling, and of course this downscaling update in each phase, considering this national target of each country. So this is our approach to address the regional the divergence in each to make it at least a higher resolution to show the differences in regions.
May I add to this question?
Yeah, please.
You explained that by utilizing several different kinds of models, it may reduce the level of uncertainty. But on the other hand, I saw in some slides, in your slides today, that the models are quite different from one to another. So in that case, how do you deal with those differences of the output that came up from different models?
Okay. This slide, yeah, this slide is better. For IAMs, it's not that bad. Of course, NGFS is not the first time that we 3 models remind message and GCAM worked together and do the intercomparison. So we are so by the assumption of the models or the principles of the models within this IAM models, we are quite familiar with the possible difference caused by the models. So for this part, I think it's okay. It's actually not a very large difference. And then to the when we pass the result to other
yeah, this slide I was talking about.
Yeah, this one, right? When we pass it, let me take a look. This one is better. Yeah, when we pass the thing to other countries, and then they look at the downscaling results. So you see this go through downscaling first, and then go to the macro, the NIGEM model. So in this downscaling, it's over 200 countries. So the downscaling will be done first to make sure that the resolution of 1, 2, 3, these 3 models are the same, and feed it into this the downstream models. Okay.
Maybe by using this same slide, we can move on to the next question. Have you already published country level results?
Yes.
This downscaling results.
Yes, it will be. So this slide will be shared after this will be online. Will be open. It will be online, as I understand. And yes, it can be directly downloaded or checked from here. So you can see if I click it, we will have the access to the downscaled data.
So much. So the next question, you are very popular. You have many questions. What feedback has the NGFS received from financial institutions regarding the usability of these scenarios? Are there any recurring challenges or areas for improvement that you are focusing on?
Oh, a lot, a lot. Yeah, we also have funders, right? Our funders are also looking for.
ネットが止まってしまったみたいですかね。しばらくお待ちください。落ちてしまったみたいですね。ちょっとお待ちください。はい、ありがとうございます。
Thanks.
Please continue.
Sorry, Kamiyama Sensei, was it able to hear me?
Oh, but you're back.
Good. I will turn down this and yeah, I'm sorry, the network was down and what was the question again? Sorry.
Okay.
No, I can find it.
It's about the recurrent challenges or area for improvements that you're focusing on.
I am not sure if I can share it or not because the meeting of what we do in the next phase is still ongoing. But one thing I'm quite sure is the next phase we will focus on the sectoral target. So the higher resolution of sectoral or subsectoral results will be there, and also some innovation. Some innovation parts that founders may want to look at. This is the thing I can share for now.
Innovation, you mean like energy technological innovation like hydrogen? No? What kind of innovation? If I may ask.
Yeah, this is also the question I want to ask. Yeah, I found my understanding of innovation is exactly the same as Kamiyama Sensei understand, but the thing that founder mentioned is somehow a little different from our understanding. But yeah, we will see. We will see. We will see. But for the sectoral resolution, this is quite sure this will be happening in the next phase. And also maybe some CDR representation. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. So move on to the next question in Japanese. トランジションリスクはどのような指標で測っているのでしょうか？ How do you measure transition risks? Low demand シナリオのリスクが低いと想定されていますが、Low demand シナリオは物質消費の削減、デジタル化など現在の産業構造から大きく転換するような想定がされており、トランジションリスクが大きいという解釈もできるのではないかと思います。
ご質問ありがとうございます。Can I send you a mail later? This is a this is a very good comment. This is a very good comment. I did not think about things in this way. I mean, the second half, in the low demand scenario, with a higher level of digitalization, the current industrial structure may change a lot. This is interesting. Thank you, Shiraki Sensei. Let me send you an email later. This is a too large question. It's very difficult to answer in a short time. But for the question, how it's not my PC now, but let me try if I can. Let me try if I can share the.
Yes, I think this question is very much related to how you interpret quantitative outcome that came out from modeling team. So modeling team comes up with numbers that, or how do you interpret each scenario?
Indeed, yeah.
Under NGFS Workstream, does people get together and discuss what does each scenario mean in terms of energy use or industry structure?
Yes. Yeah, this low demand scenario should not be just talking about like how many reduction we can have for each subsector. It does not make very much sense. It requires a different a system approach of thinking about of modeling the representation of energy service demand. It's actually quite difficult to it's already difficult to apply it in one model as one scenario, but let alone we need to engage all different model teams to trying to do similar things. Yeah, but I should be able to share what was the figure of transition risks, but sorry, later I will be sent together with the email.
Thank you so much. So the next question, there are many questions in one chat box. Question 2, as for heat wave impacts, have you considered the loss of lives as well?
I don't think so. So I will need to confirm with the physical risks colleagues, but I don't think so. Based on my understanding, is not because it is serving for the for central banks and also other financial users. So all these damages or risks, they are monetarized. It's all in monetary unit.
But even if you monetize, you can even calculate the loss of lives in the monetary terms.
Yeah, let me confirm with the physical
Thank you so much.
colleagues.
Okay, next question. As for insurance, do you calculate how much insurance companies have to pay?
There should be the changes in the interest rate. It shows the gap between interest rates. But this gap between like the stranded thing that stranded assets or stranded values that insurance companies need to pay. No, it is not directly there. I guess somehow this gap between interest rates or the interest rates between greener or less greener projects, this should help.
Page slide 17 of your today's your slide, there is 5 types of risks under financial risks, and one of them is underwriting risks. So I think this underwriting risk is very much related to this question: how much insurance companies must be paying when impact of climate change becomes severe. So maybe something related is already there.
I can double check.
Thank you so much. Okay, 2 more questions. What kind of political implication we can get from your output on carbon pricing?
Political implication. I don't know. My personal view, and thanks for I think it's Oscar Sensei, right? And thank you for Oscar Sensei. Yeah, my personal view, I think, is it enough to just have for now we have this transition risk and physical risk, right? Is it I would even suggest, can we have another political risk? It's like for example, this latest election result, right? It literally changes a lot of things which we cannot foresee. It's very difficult to be quantized in scenarios? Can we have just to have another section just for the political risks? So, so things can be, all the political things, political uncertainties can be put into there. But I understand you want to know something that's some takeaways about the carbon pricing. The carbon pricing, of course, it is a key parameter, and we can draw some conclusions on the cost of mitigation. If we compare the carbon price across different scenarios, we see higher or lower carbon price in near term or mid-term or long term. There a lot of conclusions or messages can be generated there by scenario or by phase. We can have there may be different conclusions for that. For example, if we compare 1.5 degree scenario with this low demand scenario, do we necessarily see a lower carbon price in the low demand scenario? We can draw a lot of conclusions based on that, and because we have so many phases and so many scenarios, I guess there can be a lot of political implications. A lot of examples I can show you on that. It is possible to do that, but my personal opinion here is maybe it's not bad just to put the political risks aside, making it another independent part.
Thank you so much. There are still two more questions posted by Professor Askabat because we are running out of time. Maybe you can either answer the questions if you can, but please wrap up your suggestions, perhaps.
Okay,
Or
for
key
the
takeaways.
first
Yeah.
question, yes, the investment is all the investment on renewables, non-renewables, on CCS, on the even the pipelines or those electricity transmission and the distribution facilities, capacities. We have the investment of those. Namely, all the investment on the energy supply side too. Yes, we have those variables. And number 6, if any, would be the political.
Implications for the Japanese central bankers.
I've asked. I think the only thing I know about Japan teams running similar NGFS scenarios. The only result I know is Lido さんがおっしゃってますか？Yeah, the participation of Japan Central Bank or Japan institution, even research institutions are quite are not so active as European central banks, which makes sense because as international or global as this NGFS platform is, it is somehow still EU dominated, you can say that. And also we received some concerns of not paying enough attention to the emerging markets. But I do wish instead of I myself, more Japanese researchers and also people who really cares about climate-related investment, they should put their voice there. Some argue carbon pricing will have positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe because we're running out of time. Can I stop here?
Yes. Sorry, sorry. The network and my response was not very good.
No. Dr. G, your presentation as well as your answer to all these various questions were very, very helpful and insightful. And あと、すみません、日本語で終わらせますけれども、シナリオの作り方の、難しさ、それからやっぱり難しいところの些細は置いといても、でもやっぱり大切なところはやるっていう、そこの切り分けを感じることができたんじゃないかなというふうに私は思いました。 本当に、短い時間でしたけれども、多くの情報を、私たちに提供していただいた、獣医さんに、もう一度皆様から、大きな拍手をお願いいたします。今日どうも本当ありがとうございました。
あ、ありがとうございました。
はい。それでは、今日の、オンラインセミナーをこれにて終了いたします。皆様どうもありがとうございました。